questions, and I will try my best to answer. Okay. So, so looks like Anupji, he prepared his question.
No, I was just taking my phone out.
Okay. All right. So please raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, you have to ask in the mic, because it will. Yes, so that the people, this is going live, so people can hear also what the question is.
Swami Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
I've been in this country about 35 years.
Right.
Always busy with the work, raising family. And my grandfather used to read Gita when I was at high school. So I'm looking some place where we can learn Gita and Ramayana in Atlanta area. Just wondering.
Okay, so the thing is that, so I'll answer now. So the thing is that we can teach, we can have classes, we do have classes here. Right now we are doing classes more for the kids and teenagers, for the Ramayana and the Gita. And I'm sure in the future they can have classes for elders also. This is a suggestion you made, and I'm sure they'll take it. And they will have classes also, right? And we have very proficient people to teach Gita and the Ramayana also. So I'm sure they will take the suggestion, and in the future you will see it will be published that they will be having Gita class and the Ramayana class. Thank you. We already have classes, but more for the kids right now.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya, I think there is an adult class for Gita that is happening at Yugal Kunj right now. There is a class for adult for Gita.
Okay, so now I was just being told that there is a class ongoing, so we just find out from the front desk.
Yes.
All right, so there is a class right now here for Gita, for the adults. So we just get the information from the front desk.
No, it's every Wednesday during the academic year, from 7 to 8:30.
In the evening?
In the evening.
So it's every Wednesday? So you can come and join every Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8:30. All right? Every Wednesday. Okay. Next question. Just raise your hand so he'll bring the mic for you. All right. Let me just mention something. Many times we have questions and we feel shy to ask in the public, in front of everyone. So we want to ask privately. So when we ask privately, we do get an answer, but we alone benefit. When we ask in the public, a lot of questions that you have, others have also too, but they're too shy to ask. So everyone benefits when we ask questions. That's why we have it open like this. We can have one-on-one also, but we have it like this. So a lot of times people do have questions, and they're too shy or don't even know how to ask. So when you do that, they say, oh, that was my question too, and they get the answer. A lot of things come from just asking the question. That's why we have this session of Q&A. Okay. Yeah, look, Rani. Yeah, you can do it in your mic.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you have to sum up Raji's philosophy, what are the 3 main essential practices for spiritual growth?
Okay, so Sri Maharaji made 11,111 verses in Radha Govind Geet, right? And out of that, his whole philosophy has been given in one verse. Hari Guru Bhaj Nit Govind Radhe Bhav Nishkam Ananya Banade. The entire philosophy. Maharaji said this many times. My whole philosophy in this one line. If you don't remember to listen to lecture, you don't remember to read the book, you don't have the time, just understand this one shlok, this one couplet from Radha Govind Geet and all the philosophies in there. Okay, so let me explain. Hari Guru Bhaju. Right, so first to begin, whom should we worship? In terms of spiritual, if you are going on the spiritual path, Hari means Radha Krishna, God basically, and Guru means the saint, the true Guru, bona fide saint. We should worship only Hari Guru. No Devata, no Rakshas, no man, no woman, no animal, no one except Hari Guru. Hari Guru basically one and the same. Right? So Hari Guru Bhaj. Second thing, Nit. Nit means all the time. Always. As Maharaji would say, you did 5 minutes sadhana, you did 1 hour sadhana, 2 hours sadhana, and you think, I'm done. I'm finished. So 2 hours out of 24 hours you do sadhana, and then 22 hours you worship the world. In other words, you attach the world in your mind. For these 2 hours, or 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, or 1 hour, we try to attach our heart. Sadhana means trying to attach our heart, our mind, to God and Guru, Hari Guru Bhaj. So you did that for 1 hour, half an hour, whatever, and then the rest of the day, you thought about the world and you did worldly things, so you worship the world. So he said this will not work. It has to be Nit. So then someone will ask the question, if I worship God and Guru for the whole day, then how am I going to do anything else? If I just sit and do sadhana, how will I work? How will I eat? How will I take care of my family? How will I do anything else? So there are two aspects of sadhana. One is called Karma Yoga and one is called Karma Sannyas. Two aspects. So the time that we are going to sit alone and do sadhana, which we should do, whether it's for 1 hour or 2 hours, at least 2 hours, but even if you do 1 hour, it's fine, but try to increase till 2 hours at least. So that time, the word sannyas means one who is totally detached from the world and attached only on God. He's called a sannyasi. So that time you become a sannyasi. In other words, you're focusing only on Hari Guru. Right? So that is called the Karma Sannyas aspect. Now, Karma Yoga, the meaning of Karma Yoga, Tasma Sarveshu Kaleshu Mamanusmara Yuddha Cha. At all place, at all times, Shri Krishna is saying to Arjun, Tasma Sarveshu, at all place, Kaleshu, at all time, Mamanusmara. Attach your heart, your mind to me, remember me. And you're a Kshatri, and the duty of a Kshatri is to fight the war, do your duty. That is called Karma Yoga. Now, so how in the beginning you just can't attach your mind, heart to Radha Krishna, to Guru and do your duty in the world. You're in the office working, you're whatever you're doing. So we have to practice that. So Shri Maharaj has told us, first start with every hour. So you are sitting in the office or wherever you are, and you look at a watch. Everybody has a watch, show you there's a clock in the office, right? And you look at it. Nobody's going to ask you why you look. Everybody looks at the clock. Everybody looks at their watch. And at that time you see it's 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. So you just think for a moment. Now you're not going to do sadhana. Just think for a moment. 1 moment. Guru is with me, Radha Rani, Shri Krishna is with me. That's all. Just think. And you continue doing your work. That's all you have to do. For a moment. Then, 11 a.m., You see, after an hour, again you just think. You look at the clock, you think. Are they still with me? Is he looking at me? Yes, he is still with me. And you continue. So we practice like that after every hour. When that happens, it will take time. People have tried all kinds of things. They tie a string. Nowadays we have a smartphone. They put an alarm for every hour. People have tried many, many things and still they haven't succeeded. So it's not going to happen just like that. You have to practice, abhyas. When this thing happens by itself, automatically, you don't have to make the effort. Every hour you just, and you just think like that. Then you decrease the time to every half an hour. When that happens by itself, you decrease the time to every 10 minutes. Then every minute, then every moment it will happen. And you will be able to do everything in the world, even while thinking about God and Guru. But we have to practice it first. Right? So, nit. So this will happen after practice. Right? So, most important, the Karam Sannyas aspect, we have to do every day. Many times I ask people who are supposed to be devotees, satsangis, do you do sadhana? Sometime. When I remember, I am too busy. No. Just as we eat food every day, to keep the body healthy, we have to do sadhana. As I mentioned in the lecture, this is food for the soul, the Atma. Every day, try to fix the time, try to fix the place, if you have to travel, etc., then you try to do somehow, but try to make the mind needs rules. You have to bind it. If you just do in disciplined way, one day you do 10 o'clock, next day you do 3 o'clock, next day, then it wouldn't work. Rule. Niyam mein bandh dena. We have to tie the mind down. Alright? Rules are very important. So then, that will happen. And then when you do that properly, then the Karma Yoga aspect will happen, obviously. So Nitya. The next thing, the third thing, Bhav Nishkam. Right? How should we love God and Guru? Nishkam Bhav se. The word Nishkam means without any desire for one's own happiness. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rup Goswami says, beside the desire to love God and Guru selflessly, we have to give up all desires. All desires. Right? Besides that also, as I mentioned, only Hari Guru, the mind, we should not, okay, I'm going to worship this Devata, I'm going to worship this one, that one. Some people think I have to get money, so I'm going to worship Lakshmi. I have to get knowledge, so I'm going to worship Ganesh. I have to get this, that's foolishness. First to begin, when you desire worldly things, that's not even bhakti. Secondly, God is only one. Eko deva sarva bhuteshu gurha, the Vedas say only one God. And every other aspect, He has uncountable names and form, but all come from Him. In Bhagavad Mahapuran, it is stated Shri Krishna is like the root of a tree. Yatha tarol moola nishechanena tiptanti tatskandha bhujo pashakha. If you take water and point the root of a tree, automatically water will go to the leaf, the branches, the fruits, etc. You don't have to make separate effort. But if you only worship the leaf and flowers and fruit, and you don't pour water in the root, the tree will die. So Shri Krishna is the root. When we worship Radha Krishna, we worship every form of God. Whether it's Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati, whether it's Ganesh, whether it's Shiv, Ram, whoever. All aspects are automatically worshipped. So we don't have to worry about all of that. The scriptures tell us that. So, Ananya, exclusive. The word Ananya means, before I go to Ananya, so Nishkam. Nishkam, the word Nishkam, without desires, I was explaining and I jump into Ananya. Nishkam, without desires. So what desires we have to give up? Besides desire to love Radha, Krishna, God and Guru selflessly. So this we can term as these sattvic desires, rajasic desires, tamasic desire and desire for moksha. It can also be classified as dharma, artha, kam, moksha. You've heard about that. 4 traditional aims of human life. All this have to be given up. Desire for righteousness, desire for wealth, desire for pleasure, desire for moksha. It can also be classified as desire for the material world, desire for heaven, and desire for mukti. Finally, we can put in 2 categories. Desire for bhukti. Bhukti means worldly happiness plus heavenly happiness combined. And mukti, to merge into the formless aspect of Sri Krishna. All that has to be given up. Bhukti as well as mukti. Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pishati hirdivartate tavat bhakti sukasyata kathamabhyudayo bhavet. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rup Goswami saying, as long as desire in the heart, these 2 witches, they've been called witches, demonists, bhukti and mukti. As long as desire for bhukti and mukti is in the heart, Bhakti Mahadevi will never come. So if we want bhakti, we have to give up mukti even. Alright, so that's bhav nishkam. Anananya, I partly explained. Anya, the word anya in Sanskrit means all others. All others. And when we add the prefix an before a word in Sanskrit, it gives the opposite meaning. So anya means all others, ananya means no other but one alone. Exclusively one. This comes many places in the Gita. Shri Krishna says, only me, only me, only me. Mame vaye prapadyante, tesham nityabhyuktanam, tamev sharanam gaccha, tamev ev, ananya shintayantu mam, ananya, mam ekam sharanam braj. So only Shri Krishna, only God. Right? So our mind should not, whether it's Devata, celestial being, whether it's Rakshas, whether it's anyone in the world, mother, father, wife, husband, child, whoever it is. Our mind, do your duty. Nobody says don't do your duty. Everybody wants duty actually. Right? Do your duty to the husband, do your duty to the wife, do your duty to the child, to the parent. Everybody wants duty. But our heart, our mind should be attached only to Hari, Guru, Radha, Krishna and the saint. This encapsulates the whole philosophy of Sri Maharaji. Just remember one doha, one couplet from Radha Govind Geet. If you can't remember anything else. Hari Guru Bhaj Nit Govind Radhe Bhav Nishkam Ananya Banade. If anybody is new and they don't have it, come to me after, I'll give it to you. Alright? And the meaning also. Most older satsangis know it. But even if you don't, you can always ask myself or Siddheshwari or Rameshwari, they'll give it to you. Alright? So that's Maharaji's whole philosophy. He has said this. My whole philosophy in this one verse I have put. If all you can remember is that alone, that's all you need to do. I can go on and on and on in that one verse. Alright? Because all his philosophy is there. But I've told you briefly. Yeah, Anupji.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya. Maharaj Ji frequently mentions Nami Naam mein baitha hai. That to me at least sounds very abstract. How do you make this practical or put it to use? Because
Alright. So this is a statement of Gaurang Mahaprabhu actually. When Gaurang Mahaprabhu came, Sri Maharaj himself came before us, Gaurang Mahaprabhu, in the year 1486, our Christian era. He stayed only 48 years. And he didn't, like Maharaji wrote so many books and gave so many lectures, and so Gaurang Mahaprabhu only left 8 verses. 8 Sanskrit verses. He wrote a book before, but he threw it away. For something happened and he threw it away. Anyhow, so he left only 8 verses. There are lots of his words saying in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he spoke with devotees, but as far as his writing, he left only 8 Sanskrit verses. It's called Shikshastak. Everything is there, right? There's nothing less than that. As Maharaji says, 1 verse I have left put everything. So in this 8 verses, Gaurang Mahaprabhu put everything. One of the verse he said, Nam Nam Kari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tartar Pita Niyamita Smarane Nakalaha Eta Dishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivami Dishamiha Janina Anuragaha. Right, so this is one of the verses from Shikshastak. Nam Nam Kari Bahudha. So Gaurang Mahaprabhu is saying to Shri Krishna, hey Shri Krishna, you have so many names, uncountable names actually. Bahudha, so many names. Aur Nija Sarva Shaktis. You are so merciful, so kind that you have taken all your power, Sarva Shakti, and put in the name. You have taken all your power and put in the name. Plus, you have made no rules when it comes to taking the name. If you're doing puja, you can only face a certain direction you can't face. You have to wear certain types of clothes, you have to take bath, you have to fast, all kinds of things you have to do. There's so many rules and regulations. When it comes to taking God's name, no rules. You can sit wherever you want, face any direction. You didn't bathe for a whole year, no problem. You have the dirtiest clothes, your worn is clothes months and months, no problem. No rules, no regulations. Etadishi tava kripa. Bhagavan mamapi, your mercies, your kindness is to the supreme extreme. But durdaivami dishamiha janina anuragaha. My durdaiva, my misfortune is also to the extreme in that I do not have attachment for taking your name. So why that attachment is not there? Because we have not, that belief has not come yet that Shri Krishna is sitting in the name. Right? That he and the name is one. So we have to practice that. This is a statement made in the scriptures also. But the saints are also telling us, Gaurang Mahaprabhu, the ascension of Radha Krishna, Radha Rani herself, is making this statement. Right? So when God and the scriptures make statement, of course, it's abstract to us because we are material beings. We have a material mind, material intellect, and certain knowledge we have to accept in the beginning. When you're going to school, when you were in the primary level and all of that, many things didn't make sense to you. Right? But you accepted. Right? And the teacher said, so you just accept. You had faith in the teacher. Teacher said this is so and so, and you just you didn't understand. It was totally abstract. Take a little child. A little child. Both parents are saying, "I am your mommy, I am your daddy." The child can't understand. Right? The child asks the parent, "How come both of you are my mommy and daddy?" Right? So no matter what the mommy and daddy try to tell the child, even if the greatest scholar were employed to make that child understand, it's impossible because the dosh, that thing of lust has not come in the child as yet. Right? So the child can't understand how two people can come together and make a child. Right? Later on when the child grows and gets bigger, and that lust comes now in the child, now the child understands, ooh, now I understand. So certain things in the beginning we just accept. In the same way in the material world, in the same way in the spiritual world, certain knowledge, because it is given in the scriptures, because God said, because the saints have told us, because Guru tells us, we accept it. It's abstract right now. right? It doesn't, we can't understand how he's sitting in the name. But we accept and we practice. We try to make that belief come. We have to practice it. Again and again, thinking again and again. Avritti rasakri dupadeshat. Right? So Vedanta Sutra, there's a Vedanta Sutra which says, again and again, avritti, bar, 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 bar. This is all sadhana is about, thinking again and again. How does the knowledge come that I am the soul, the Atma? Thinking again and again, I am soul, I am the soul, I am not the body. My sharir nahi, I am not the body. Eventually it's going to sit. It's going to sit. Right? How does someone accept that this is my mommy, this is my daddy in the world? A child doesn't know what a mommy or daddy is. When a child is born, how many children get adopted and they accept the adopted parents as mom and dad? Right? So that person teaches the child. The child being born doesn't know what a mommy or daddy is. So the mother and father teaches the child. Say mommy, say daddy, say I am your mommy. Right? The child does know this lady gives me milk? What a mommy is, the child doesn't know. We can't remember. We think the child is born, the moment the child born, the child knows this is my mommy. No. No child knows that. All the child knows, this lady is giving me milk. This man is holding me. And the attachment grows that the child only likes to be in certain people's lap because the child gets accustomed with them. Somebody strange come, they will cry. It doesn't mean the child knows. He's grown accustomed, that's all. And he can get accustomed to other people also after a while. So, by teaching the child again and again, it goes and sit in the intellect. We have been taught again and again. Then the knowledge sits, yes, this is my mommy, this is my daddy, and you get attached. So in the same way, we have to put that in the mind, in the intellect again and again, again and again. This is the sadhana. We have to practice it slowly, slowly through Guru's grace. And as the purification comes, when you do sadhana, if you do it in the right way, shedding tears, purification will come in the mind, in the intellect. Right? And Guru, in the same amount that your mind and intellect purifies, he feeds divine Shakti, the Swarup Shakti of Bhagwan, Guru feeds. Certain things will automatically start becoming clear. That's why it says, Guru binu hoi ki gyan. He's the one who makes that knowledge sit in there. Because when the things get clear, this is what he's doing. We are doing sadhana, but who is making it clear? Him. He's feeding divine power to us. And certain knowledge will suddenly start becoming clear. That wasn't clear before. So we just keep practicing, have faith. Have faith in Guru, have faith in what Guru tells us. Have faith in the scriptures and keep practicing. Slowly, slowly, it will get clear. Then you will experience it. You will start tasting it. You will actually start tasting that bliss of Radha Krishna. That is in the name. That the day will come, if you don't say Radhe, you become like a fish out of water. Sada Nam Ruchi. Right? These are symptoms of Bhav Bhakti. That there's so much institutional calm that you just can't help but chant Radhe Radhe. And if you stop for a moment, you want to die. That's a high state. But it comes from doing sadhana. Then the Bhav Bhakti will come. So first you have to make the mind interested. That's a sadhana. Then the mind gets interested by itself. That is the Bhav. We haven't attained Siddha yet, but we are very close. Alright? Practice, abhyas. Yeah. Mike.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya.
Radhe Radhe.
So this is a follow-up question on Nishkam Bhakti that you mentioned. So you mentioned that we have to get rid of all our desires in order to have the Nishkam Bhakti, right? So in a practical scenario, it doesn't happen at the initial stage. It is like an ideal state to attain for a devotee. So does a devotee start with Sakam first and then progress to Nishkam? Because like in a normal scale, even for a student, he always thinks that I need to pass my exam with good grades. Or for an adult, I want to have a healthy life, right, without any disease or something. So does he start with Sakam and then progress to Nishkam? Or is it an initial state to be in to start practicing Bhakti?
Okay, so let me answer the question. Many have asked this question before also too. So, first to begin, to desire the world is not even bhakti, right? To even start desiring that I'm going to pray to God to have health and strength, to pass my exam, to do all of that, that's not even bhakti. Secondly, there's a sakam bhakti. The sakam bhakti means someone loves Radha Krishna, Guru, but for their own happiness. This is bhakti now. I'm not desiring the world. Kubja, the example given is Kubja. Kubja wanted to satisfy her senses, like a woman, but not with any man in the world. Only Shri Krishna. But she had no interest whether this would make Shri Krishna happy. Only her happiness. Her love is glorified in the scriptures, in the Bhagavad, and it's called Sakam. This is a real Sakam Bhakti. Alright? But it's very dangerous. Now, we have to start from the beginning correct. Maharaji gives the example, he says, if you're doing multiplying, right? And in the beginning you make a mistake. When you do multiplication, then no matter when you go, how far you go, the answer is going to be wrong. So it might be hard, it's going to be hard because our mind is not accustomed. And because we love our own happiness. But from the very beginning, it has to be nishkam. It has to be correct. Because if you start wrong, it's going to end up wrong. Alright? So we have to start correct. No matter how hard, the mind is going to rebel. People feel pain. Literally, they feel pain. It is said, when you do bhakti, initially you're going to get dukh. You will feel pain and suffering. The mind feels it because the mind doesn't like it. Our mind, from uncountable lifetimes, has been attached to the material world and has made the firm opinion that I will find happiness in the material world. When you try to change that decision of the mind, it's going to rebel. It doesn't like it. And you might even feel pain. Right? People have told me they feel pain. Right? So the thing is that you have to convince. And that's why Guru and the knowledge is so important. When Guru will give the knowledge, right? That this is, yes, we have to be careful of the mind. The mind by nature, one, it is a product of Maya, so it is material, right? Number two, its nature is to love the world, right? It's material, so we love material. So the nature of the mind is to run to the world. That's the nature. What we're doing sadhana for is to take the mind away from the world and bring it to Radha Krishna, to Guru. That's what sadhana is about. So when you start, the mind, you try to meditate on Radha Krishna and Guru, the mind runs to the world. Alright? Then you bring it back. Again it runs away. Then you bring it back. That's the process in the beginning. Then as you keep practicing, slowly the mind will start staying here longer. True knowledge is Tattva Gyan, is very important. We cannot love on the basis of, many people think, I don't need Siddhant, I don't need philosophy. I don't like to, philosophy, I fall asleep. I just want to sit down and chant Radhe Radhe, and I just want to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, I don't want to do this. No, that's wrong. Gaurang Mahaprabhu says, when it comes to Tattva Gyan means knowledge given by a bona fide saint. Not reading Gita, not reading Bhagavad, not reading Ramayana. We don't get knowledge like that. Tattva Gyan means what a true saint explains to us what Gita is saying. When a true saint explains to us what Ramayana is saying, what the Veda is saying. Acharyavan Purusho hi Ved, the Vedas say. Let him tell you what Veda. Don't go by yourself. That is Tattva Gyan. When it comes to that knowledge, we should not be lazy or careless. Because the more firm that knowledge becomes, the more our love will increase. The faster we will go. The reason why we keep falling and running back to the world and falling all the time is because our philosophy is very weak. A lot of times it's because the philosophy is very weak. Philosophy meaning the knowledge given to us by a true saint. We did not give enough time, we did not spend enough time, we did not pay enough attention. This is most important. When that gets firm and it sits in the mind, look, when the knowledge sits in the mind, I am soul, Atma. I am not the body. Once that knowledge sits and soul belongs only to Sri Krishna, it becomes easy to accept that Sri Krishna alone is my mommy, Sri Krishna alone is my dad, Sri Krishna alone is my beloved, my child, my friend, because I am soul, Atma. But as long as I don't have that conviction and I identify with the body, it's difficult. Because I keep thinking, no, this is my mommy because I'm body, this is my daddy in the world. Right? So the more that knowledge sits, the more firm it becomes. Then love will grow with speed. With speed. You will meet obstacles, things will happen, but then you have knowledge to fight it. We need that sort of gyan, tattva gyan, to fight when the baths and scars will come. Things will happen, baths and scars will happen. The tendencies from the past life. Right? So it goes up and down. Remember the three qualities of Maya, they keep changing and intermingling. One is always predominating, and the one which predominates will determine how we think, our nature. So when the sanskars are bad, either Rajogun or even Tamogun is predominating. But if you have the knowledge, then you know, this is because this is dominating. Don't worry about it. Everything will be okay. Just keep doing sadhana. Right? But that's when the knowledge gets firm. So, yes, the tendency is there that, okay, let me start with Sakam and then, okay, I'll be okay. Once I get the knowledge and I'm all right, I'll do Nishkam. No, it doesn't happen. From the beginning, we have to start. Look, if a person is going to learn how to drive in the world, and he has learned from many people, Andaband, Gari Chalana, when he goes to the driving school, first the teacher has to on-train him. He has to untrain him. A person who's never done any driving, easy to train him. So first he has to untrain him and then teach him the right way. Right? So in the same way, Shri Maharaj Ji says, from the very beginning, we have to practice. It will be hard. The mind will rebel. The intellect will rebel because it's not a custom. But we have to have faith in Guru, have to have faith in God. And know that Guru is saying, look, from the beginning it has to be correct. All right? And as I said, Maharaji gives the example of multiplying. If you, when you multiply 5 by 5, instead of 25, you say 75. Right? You keep going, it'll be wrong in the end. Right? So in the beginning it has to be correct. Nishkam from the beginning. All right?
Thank you, Bhai.
Radhe, Radhe. Over there, in the back.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Raganuga Bhakti. What is Raganuga Bhakti?
Okay, so there are two kinds of bhakti, mainly practice. One is called Vaidhi Bhakti and one is called Raganuga Bhakti. Alright? So Vaidhi, the word Vaidhi comes from Ved. So Ved means rules and regulations. 80,000 mantras. Only rules and regulations in Vedas. So when one is practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, lot of fear, rules. You can't do this, you can't do that, you have to bathe so many times. All the way, everywhere, fear, dar. And when there's fear, it's very difficult to love. Now, Raganuga, there's only one. So this rules is in the Vedas is called Vidhi and Nished. Vidhi means you have to do this, you have to do that. Jo karna hai. Whatever I have to do, that is called Vidhi. Aur ye nahi karna, what I should never do, that is called Nished. Aisa mat karo. So in the Raganuga Bhakti, ek Vidhi or ek Nished. There's only one Vidhi and one Nished. No other rules, no regulation. So what is the Vidhi? The Vidhi is at all times remember Hari Guru, Radha Krishna Guru. That's the Vidhi. Our Nished, what is the Nished? Don't ever forget Hari Guru for one moment. That's the Nished. Right? There's no other rules and regulations. Of course, as a sadhak, because we sadhak, there are certain rules we have to, even though we are doing Raganuga Bhakti, Guru will tell you, because our mind is very bad. And we have so much sanskars from uncountable lifetimes. So as a sadhak, rules are very important. Even though we are practicing Raganuga Bhakti, Maharaji says, if you look, the sun rises a certain time, every day, and it sets a certain time. All these stars we see in the sky, they are all worlds. We can't see, the light it is millions and millions of light years away. But they are all worlds, right? But there's a niyam, a rule. If there was no rule, all this will crash together and end. There's a rule as to how they would move and everything. So when the whole world is governed by rules and regulations, why should we think that I should not have rule? I am doing Raganuga Bhakti. No, we have rules too. So the rules are, don't sleep more than 6 hours. All right? If you're married. If you're single, Shri Maharaj used to say this, especially in the earlier time, don't sleep more than 5 hours. 1 hour extra is given to married people because you have kids, etc., and you have a little more stress, tension. So you need a little more rest. All right? But you're single, 5 hours. Okay? Don't eat anything or drink anything which interferes with the mind. The main thing in sadhana is the mind. And the mind is so bad. Arjuna is saying how to control the mind is so strong, turbulent and unyielding. It's more difficult to control the mind than it is to control the wind. And now you give it some sharab, some rum, you give it some weed, you give it some coke. It gets even worse, more difficult. People think, oh, there's some people who practice devotion and they smoke weed. They smoke marijuana and then they say, oh, we got so much experiences. They get together and they smoke a lot of weed. That's very wrong. Right? You will never go anywhere in bhakti. That's not experiences. That's the mind getting more crazy. The mind is becoming more and more delusional. All right? So Maharaj is very strict. Anything which alters the mind, which interferes with the mind, as far as eating, as far as drinking, be very careful. The saying is, you are what you eat. Right? Whatever we eat or drink, it goes in the mind and affects us. It doesn't mean that if I'm vegetarian, I'm going to go to Bhagwan. Lots of people are vegetarian and they're atheists. They don't even believe in God. Vegetarianism has nothing to do with anything. But, yes, if you're vegetarian, it does affect the mind. Whereas compared to eating animal or drinking alcohol or other things. Right? So this rule, try to eat sattvic food. Right? Try to be very healthy because health is important. Keep the body healthy. I mentioned in the lecture. Right? Shri Maharaj himself showed us. He didn't have to keep rules. He is Jagat Guru Tam. Huh? Why did he have to get up certain hour in the morning? Why did he have to? Everything was rule about him. Because he's showing us by example that these are rules and regulations. You have to, to keep the body healthy. Body is we're not the body. You're not going to become body conscious. I'm going to build 6-pack. Right? Don't get like that. That I'm going to build muscle and 6-pack, and then you get too conscious about the body, then you forget about sadhana. Health is important. Exercise. Don't worry how it look. Exercise. Right? Make sure your blood pressure, everything is proper by the kind of food you eat, etc. Or else it's going to bother you in doing sadhana and doing your seva. So make sure, especially eating, drinking, rest, sleeping, the company you keep, kusang. 5. We have 5 senses. Kusang we think is only meeting people talking. Kusang is 5. Shabd, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandh. Right? Things we hear, Shabd. Sparsh, touch. Who you touch. Roop, what you see. What the shows you look at. What TV, all these things. The cinema you go, decide to go and look at all kind of foolishness on YouTube, etc. Ras, what you taste, eat. Gandh, what you smell. This is all, anything which takes our mind away from Hari Guru, that is kusang. So try to be very careful when it comes to what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. Right? As far as food, try to eat prasad. Right? Offer nice, wholesome things to Maharaji, to Radha Krishna, and then partake. Alright? That Maharaji, he ate like this. He loved this kind of food. He wanted me to eat like that. So, keeping these. So, yes, Raga Nuga means no rules and regulations except, I mentioned, one Vidhi, one Nished. Right? That we should always remember Hari Guru, Radha Krishna, and the saying, the true Guru. Vidhi, Nished, don't forget them even for a moment. Besides that, there's no other rules and regulation, but because we are sadhak, we are practicing, there are certain rules we have to follow, which Guru has told us. Alright? Yeah. Just now let her ask first. Yeah, go ahead.
Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe.
Why is it so bad to look good in front of others if it's influencing you to do the right thing?
Alright, so when we focus too much on clothes and how we look, right? Remember the mind is going to do that also too. So your mind, that length of time you're taking your mind away from God. If you're doing it for Hari Guru, it's fine. If you're thinking that I'm dressing like the gopis used to dress, very beautiful. They will put makeup and all the things, but everything was for Sri Krishna. It wasn't for the husband, it wasn't for their mother and father, it wasn't for their friend, it wasn't for themselves. They took care of their body, that this is going to give Krishna happiness. So the gopis did that, right? They made themselves in a certain way because this is going to make Krishna. Everything was for Sri Krishna. But we have to be careful, right? I am doing this because a boy would look at me or a girl would look at me, then we've gone kusang, right? So if Maharaj used to say, if your job demands it, certain time we work a certain place, and if you don't dress a certain way, they'll get mad with you. The boss may want to fire you. So if that is the case, that you have to dress because of your job, that amount only. When you leave there and you come home, etc., then become very simple, right? So a devotee is very simple in everything, right? So I used to say to devotees, simple living, high thinking, right? We should not get the mind too much accustomed in luxurious things and comfortable things. A devotee, when you get like that, the mind gets focused on that and you lose focus where it's supposed to be. It's not that it's bad, but the whole, you lose focus, right? Because you're going to spend so much time, what kind of bed I should sleep on, what kind of motor car I should drive, and this, and your mind, the car you need a car that can start and go to work and come back. Why do you need to get a Lexus or whatever? Right? My car, when I started, it should be reliable to take me to my job and bring me back. That's most important. Then I can buy a car that for less money and I can use the rest to do seva. Right? Always think like that. Maharaji would say, 2 saris. One 100 rupees or let's say $100, Western money. One is $1,000. Why can't you wear a sari that is costing $100? It's only to cover the body. What will people think, that I am a country bumpkin? You're doing bhakti. Who cares about what people think? Right? Most important is to cover the body. So our mind gets focused on what people are seeing and thinking, and then we lose focus where the mind is supposed to be. And that is why, if you're doing it, like when we have a celebration and you're making yourself beautiful for Shri Krishna, Radharani, it's fine. That's why I'm dressing today, because today is Radharani's birthday. Today is Shri Krishna, so I'm going to dress very beautiful. Great, nothing is wrong. Alright? But because the mind is in the right place. Alright? But if you do it every day, then you have to be careful. The mind is a big trickster. Right? Then the mind gets focused on the worldly things. Alright? He wanted to ask here in front first.
Our Ananya Bhakti means we have to do bhakti on Guru and Hari. And we have many temples. We have Vaishnadevi, idol and then Sat Sai Baba idol. Should we remove those idols from the temple or what?
No. You don't have to remove anything from anybody. It's not Raganuga Bhakti. This is Ananyata. So exclusiveness. The thing is that, look, everybody has different interests, right? From uncountable lifetimes, which form of God we're going to worship is determined by, a lot of time, by our sanskars from uncountable lifetime. Also the guru you have, right? Why people keep all these things in the mandir? Because they think is mostly worldly, right? So that is fine. We can't stop the world from doing, and we shouldn't go and tell anybody remove this and remove that. That's their interest, right? So they will continue. Hopefully one day they may get the association of a true saint, something they may hear, and they may think, no, I should just worship this, right? So we don't have to remove anything. We have to remove ourselves, right? What I want, what do I want? If I have the knowledge that only by worshiping God and the true happiness I'm looking for I'll find only in God, then I should go that way. But I should not tell somebody who is not willing to accept as yet, right? A lot of people will argue, will start arguing. Before I met Sri Maharaji, I didn't have this knowledge, right, about Ananyata and about worshipping Radha Krishna. I did like everybody else, going to the mandir and going to all the different deities and all these things. But first to begin, worshipping God doesn't mean only Radha Krishna. God has uncountable names, uncountable forms. Lakshmi, Durga, Ram, this is all Bhagavan. Bhagavan only, right? And there are many saints. If I worship only a saint, but I have to be sure, there are a lot of people who have been told are saints and they're not saint. Because everybody is following. They went to this guy and they think that I didn't have a child and I suddenly had a child. This is due to his prarabdha. No saint gives children to anybody. And he starts propagating this and everybody starts thinking, oh, he's a saint. That's a wrong thing. That's against even all the philosophy. We should not accept somebody as a saint because of material gain. Only spiritual gain, not material gain. Right? So we have to be very careful. Right? But we can't stop the world from doing that. We have to progress out. If someone comes to you and wants help and wants to understand, and you see a true desire, then explain. Don't go and argue. If that person is stronger than you, they can actually convert you in their way. So you have to be very careful. If someone comes to you with a true desire to know, then only. Otherwise, don't go and argue with people. All right?
Okay. Then we will not force anyone, but we should not worship Vaishnav Devi and Satya Sai Baba.
Who is the Vaishnav? First to begin, who is the Vaishnav Devi? Vaishnav Devi is Radha Rani. Radha Rani herself, these are different forms of Radha Rani. Right? When Radha Rani is the very source, I mentioned about Sri Krishna being the root, the source. When you worship Radha Rani, you worship all the Vaishnav Devi, everybody. Right? You don't have to go anywhere anymore. And the form of God you worship, even though it's all Bhagavan, that's what you're going to attain. You will go to their abode. If we want to attain the highest divine bliss, then we have to worship the form of Devi as Radha Rani. Or else we'll just go to Durga Lok or something. And then we'll think afterwards, hey, Bhagavan, where did I reach?
Yeah. Yes. But Ramji also worshipped Durgaji and others. And
Ramji,
even Maharaji used to worship.
I know, listen, to show us there's only one God. One God, infinite form. What did he ask Durga for? He asked Durga for Radha Rani's love, for Shri Krishna love. Maharaji worship every form. Shivji, what did we ask Shivji for? Krishna Prem. We never asked for Durga or Shiv. Nothing is wrong. I asked Maharaji once, if I worship Shiv, what happens? Maharaji said two things. He told me two things can happen. If I worship Shiv for Shiv, I will go to Shiv. I will attain moksha, whatever. Right? If I worship Shiv for Krishna Bhakti, I will get Krishna Bhakti. Because Shiv is a devotee of Shri Krishna. So it's what you worship for. Right? Nothing is wrong. You can worship Durga. Ask for Radha Prem. Because she is Radha Rani herself. Right? But I do not want to go to Vaishnavi Devi Lok. I want to go to Golok. My aim should be where I want to go. Right? Because it's the same. Look, we should never see difference in any form or name of God. One Bhagwan. Right? But which form we worship of that one Bhagwan will determine what we are going to attain. I can worship any form of Bhagwan to get Krishna Prem or Radha Rani's Prem. That has to be sit in the mind very firm. That's all.
So this means we have to keep doing bhakti on Radha Krishna, and we can keep any idol of God like Vaishnavi also. But if we worship,
fine. No problem.
Oh.
It's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Once you keep your mind focused, we have to give respect everywhere. It's the same Radha Krishna. If I disrespect Durga, I'm disrespecting Radha Rani whom I love. If I disrespect Shiva, I'm disrespecting Shri Krishna. Right? So I give my respect everywhere. I bow to Shivji, I bow to Durga, I bow to Vaishnavi. Who is Durga? That's another name for Durga. Right? I bow to all of them. But my mind is focused, Radha Rani and Shri Krishna. Understand?
Thank you.
Radhe, Radhe. Him. You wanted, we'll come to you. Him first.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Although it is said that in the Raganuga Bhakti, there are no rules and regulations except the few of those that you just described, but somehow I feel that there are still lots of rules and regulations. For example, if you want to attain the highest bliss, which is that of Maharas, you have to worship Bhagwan Shri Krishna with Madhurya Bhav only. With no other bhav, you can go to Maharas. Also, you are not allowed to worship Shri Radharani with Madhurya Bhav. Okay, so it appears that even though it is said that इसमें कोई rules and regulations नहीं है, but there are still lots of rules and regulations.
Rules and regulation means the rules and regulation of karma kand. That is part of Vaidhi Bhakti, right? It doesn't mean the finer points. That's a different thing. That's not rules and regulations. That's what you want to attain, right? You can attain Shri Krishna to Prema Bhakti, Sneh Bhakti, Man Bhakti, Pranay Bhakti, Rag. All this you can do, right? They're different levels. They're all divine. You'll all go to Golok, but which level you will attain is a different thing. It has nothing to do with the rules and regulations. What Vaidhi Bhakti means, from Vedas is talking about karma kand. The rules of things that we have to observe in the world, right? That's what it means. Worldly rules, right? That you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, that's a different thing, totally different thing. All right? When it comes to what we want to attain by worshipping only Radha Krishna, then if I want to attain the highest, of course, Madhurya Bhav. Or somebody says, I don't want that, I just want to be Das. You attain Prema Bhakti. Right? So that's a different, that's more into, that's not really rules and regulations. That's just determined by what I want to attain. That's all. All right? This last question.
And just one quick question. If you worship Sri Radharani or Bhagwan Shri Krishna with either Shanta Bhav, Dasya Bhav, Sakhya Bhav or Vatsalya Bhav, will you still go to Golok?
You will still go to Golok, but not Shanta Bhav. Shanta Bhav is reserved for Vaikuntha. We don't do Shanta Bhav. But Dasya Bhav, Sakhya Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav, Madhurya Bhav, you will go to Golok. All go to Golok. But you get different level of love once you go there. Right? Okay. Even Kubja goes to Golok. All right? But the level of bhakti is different. That's all. All right? When she goes there, she cannot take part in Maharas.
Also, it is a little hard to accept the fact that Atma, which is so divine, which is talked about, Dainam Chindanti Shastani and all that, that Atma is Strilingi. That is what it is said. Which is very hard to digest that concept that Atma has a gender.
The Atma is what? Screening?
Because it is said that there is only one Purush, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, and everybody else is
we can't understand that. This is what the scripture says, right? Govinda eva Purusho, Brahma Dyas Triya eva hi. Forget about even the soul. Even Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they're all stealing. Right? That's the nature of the soul. That's why the highest aim is to become a gopi. We'll talk about it another time, right? For now, we have to do, before the bhog, let me just get your question quickly. Give it to him, let me get the question quickly.
But yeah, we have a question from the online chat, so...
Just 1 minute, yeah, before we'll get it. Let me get this one question here.
It's already time, so...
Few minutes now.
No, I just wanted to confess that when you said that married people are allowed to sleep for 6 hours, I said, thank God we are married. And same thing, some bachelors must be thinking, let me get married so I can sleep 6 hours. So what would you say to them or to us?
No. The reason why the 6 hours is given, because as naturally, remember when you're a parent, you have extra stress. Children, you have to take care of the children, wife gives stress, husband gives stress, so many stress you have. Right? So Maharaji says, okay, take an extra hour rest. All right? The online question? Hello? Yeah, can you tell me the question?
Baya from the online chat says that he's artificially asking for Nishkam love, and he says that it hurts. So can you give a solution for that?
I didn't understand.
Okay, so Hemant Baya from the online chat is saying that he's artificially asking for Nishkam love, and that hurts. So can you give a solution for him?
Okay, he is artificially asking for Nishkam, and it hurts.
Yes.
All right, so that happens because, as I said, our mind is conditioned differently, right? From uncountable lifetimes, our mind is sakam. We are all selfish, right? We want our own happiness. This is natural to want our own happiness. So the mind has been conditioned. And when we try to change that, the mind feels pain, naturally, right? So in the beginning, in the path of bhakti, Shri Maharaji would always tells us that also. In the beginning, you will feel pain. The mind feels pain. And eventually, we'll get happiness eternally, infinite happiness forever. In the material world, initially you get happiness when you get something. And what happens? Infinite pain afterwards, eternal pain. All right? So that's the difference between the spiritual world and the material world. And why do we feel pain in the beginning? We don't feel pain that we get injured or something. No part of you is going to bleed, right? You don't get an injury. The mind, the heart, that thing which is called the antahakaran, because it is given something, has to do something that is not accustomed to. It is not conditioned in that way. So because you're taking that away, you're changing the whole nature of the mind, it feels pain, right? But that only happens initially. Eventually, once we keep practicing and once we take shelter in Guru, everything will change. We'll get so much bliss that all the pain will go away. Right? Even if you feel pain, which we will feel in separation, is the sweetest pain. Right? Is the sweet, you actually long for that pain. The gopis used to long for the pain of separation from Sri Krishna. It is so sweet. Right? We can't understand. The reason why, in union, the beloved is seen at one place at one time. In separation, the beloved is seen in each and experienced in each and every particle of the world. There's much more to it, but we'll explain some other time. Just understand that we have to practice. Yes, we're going to feel the pain. It may be artificial in the beginning. Yeah, no worry. Don't worry about it. Keep practicing. All right? And we'll feel the pain. Know that the pain is only the mind, the selfishness of the mind getting harmed. The mind is very selfish. And because its own selfishness is being harmed, it will feel pain. But as we keep practicing and through Guru's grace, that will change and we'll experience bliss. Just keep doing unselfish, right? Nishkam. From the beginning, as I told one devotee asks, the beginning has to be correct. Right? It's our nature to try to say, oh, it's too much pain, let me do sakam, is much easier, and my mind likes it. But you will end up doing the wrong. You will suffer afterwards. All right? You will not get the best thing. So the beginning has to be correct. Even if it's painful in the beginning. It eventually will work out. All right? Have faith in Guru, have faith in Shri Radha Krishna. Everything will be fine. Bol Ladli Lal ki, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।